A warm welcome to all my dear 3rd standard children. Today we are going to see an interesting topic. So what is it? It's about birds, right? So of course I hold a bird here. So you can see a bird, right? So we all like birds, isn't it? Yes, of course. So we like because they are in different color, they are in different shape and size, right? So we all love birds, isn't it? Yes. So about birds, today we are going to learn. See, you can see the birds, right? So they come under the group aves, right? A-V-E-S. Aves, they are also called as aves. Okay, so you can see the bird, right? So how many eyes it has? It has 2 eyes, isn't it? So right side 1 eye, left side 1 eye, right? And also it has a beak. So through this beak, you can see the beak here, right? Yes. So through this beak, the birds eat the seeds, fruits, nuts and some worms also, is it? Yes. So through the beak they eat, and you can see the holes on the beak. So that is known as nostrils. So using the nostrils the birds breathe, right? And you can see the body is covered with white feathers. So of course our body is covered with skin, right? So birds' body is covered with feathers. So you can see the feathers, white feathers. So this is a dove, okay? So it has white feathers. These white feathers cover the whole body, and you can see 2 feet, right? So feet. So you can see the feet. So the feet help the bird to walk, and some birds hop, and 1 tail. So you can see the tail. The tail helps in changing the direction of the bird when it is flying. So how the bird will fly? Yes, with the help of wings the bird fly, right? So today we are going to discuss more about birds and what are the different types of birds. So what is this bird? Yes, of course, dove. We all like dove, right? Come on children, now let's see more about birds. Yes, so today we are going to see your 8th lesson, is it? Birds is your 8th lesson in your science subject, is it? So about birds, today we are going to see there are different kinds of birds. You can see here, so there are different types of birds with different colors, right? And with different beaks, different feet, right? So about that only today we are going to discuss, okay? Now let's see about birds. So you can see the bird, right? So as I already showed you, so the birds has 2 eyes. So it has 2 eyes, 1 beak. So it has 1 beak, 2 legs. So 2 legs, the birds have 2 legs. So some birds use the legs to walk, and some birds they will not walk, they will just hop and move, right? And then they have 1 tail. So you can see a tail. So tail is also having wings, right? Feathers. And then body covered with feathers. So you can see the body is fully covered with feathers, right? So of course our body is not covered with feathers. Our body is covered with skin. But birds or the things that their body is covered with feathers, right? Now let's see more about feathers. So you can see feathers. Feathers means iragagal, they will say, right? So we can see different shapes of feathers and different sizes and in different colors. So of course peacock will have different color, dove will have different color, and cuckoo will have different color. So we can see birds with different colors, right? And then this iragagal is means in English it is called as feathers, F-E-A-T-H-E-R-S. So feathers, they cover the whole body of the bird, right? Now let's see more about feathers. So these feathers, they are divided into 3 types. So first one is body feathers. So the first one is body feathers, B-O-D-Y, body feather. The first one is body feather. Why it is called as body feathers? So the feathers that cover the whole body of the birds, right? So the bird's body is covered with feathers, right? So when the feather that cover the body, so that feathers are called as body feathers. You can see the body feather, right? So it will be little bit thick, and you can see this is the body feather. And the second type is down feather. So it is known as down, D-O-W-N, down feather. So down feathers are the feathers that is present in the bottom of the birds. So this down feather keep the bird warm. So particularly when they lay eggs, முட்டை இடும்போது அந்த முட்டை வந்து ஹீட்டா இருக்கணும் இல்லையா? So what the birds will do? The birds will sit on the eggs to keep the eggs warm, சூடா வெச்சுக்கிறதுக்காக the birds will sit, right? So how it keeps the eggs warm? எப்படி வந்து அந்த eggs வந்து சூடா வெச்சுக்குதுன்னா இந்த down feathers, அந்த கீழ இருக்கிற அந்த வயிற்றின் கீழ இருக்கிற அந்த feathers தான் வந்து down feathers, right? So it will be very soft and very fluffy, and this down feather keep the whole bird warm and also the eggs also warm. So that is why this is known as down feather. And the third type is flight feather, F-L-I-G-H-T, flight feather, F-E-A-T-H-E-R. So what is this flight feather? This flight feather is present in the wings and in the tail. So this flight feather help the bird to fly, right? So that is the function of the flight feather. So what is the function of the body feather? The body feather covers the body of the birds. Down feather keeps the bird warm. And the bird வந்து தன்னை சூடா வெச்சுக்கிறதுக்காக this down feather keep the birds warm, and then this flight feather help the birds to fly. And the bird பறக்கிறதுக்கு இந்த flight feathers help பண்ணுது. So how many types of feathers are there? There are 3 types. What are they? Body feather, down feather and flight feather, right? Now let's see the next one. How birds fly? So you can see here the birds are flying, right? So how birds fly? So of course we all know that birds fly with the help of their wings, right? So the flight feathers in the wings and the tail, the birds use that and they fly from one place to another place, right? So you can see the birds are using the wings to fly, right? So now let's see what are the different flying movements. So you can see here the movement of the birds. It can be divided into 2 types. One is upstroke, the other one is downstroke. U-P-S-T-R-O-K-E, upstroke, and the next one is downstroke, D-O-W-N-S-T-R-O-K-E. So what is this upstroke and downstroke movement? Upstroke movement means some birds they flip the feathers from down to upwards in the upward direction. So in the upward direction they will flip the wings, right? So you can see here. So this bird, how the birds are moving the wings, right? So you can see it is flipping from downwards to the upwards. So it moves the wings with the upward direction and they go backward. They will not go forward and they go backward. So they flip from the downward to the upward direction and they move backwards, right? So this movement is called upstroke. So upstroke means upward direction and backwards, right? And what is downstroke? Downstroke means the birds flip their wings from the upward direction to the downward direction. மேல இருந்து கீழ. So upstroke னா கீழ இருந்து மேல என்ன பண்ணும்? flip பண்ணும். அதே மாதிரி back sideல போகும். Downward direction அப்படினா மேல இருந்து கீழ. From top to the bottom they will flip the wings and they will move forward. Frontல வந்து மூவ் பண்ணி போவாங்க. So that movement is called as downward direction. So some birds use upward stroke, upstroke, and some birds use downstroke to fly. right? So mostly hummingbird you can see. The hummingbird use upstroke, and so most of the other birds they use like dove and all, they use the downstroke. So now you know the two movement of the birds, right? The two movement of flying is, what is the movements? Upstroke, downstroke. Upstroke means moving upwards and backwards. Downstroke means moving downwards and then forward direction, front direction, right? Now let's see the next one. So we know that birds fly, they use their wings to fly, but there are some birds that they cannot fly, they will not fly, right? Even though they have wings, they don't fly. What are the birds? They are called as flightless birds, parakada paravegal, right? But they come in the category of birds only. So what are the birds? The first one, ostrich. So O-S-T-R-I-C-H. Ostrich, nerupukoli they will say, right? Ostrich, this ostrich is the largest bird. Irukra bird li edu vandu romba periya bird appadina ostrich. This ostrich is the largest bird and it will not fly, right? And the next one is penguin. P-E-N-G-U-I-N. Penguin. Penguin is also a bird that will not fly. So mostly we can see penguin in the Arctic region. Paniparegal irukaduthala nariya vaadum. Okay. So these birds are flightless birds, and there are some more two birds also there. Let's see. What are they? So some more flightless birds are emu and kiwi. So this one is kiwi. K-I-W-I. The name of the bird is kiwi. Kiwi also a bird which will not fly. And the next one, emu. E-M-U. So emu is also a bird which will not fly, right? So now you learn there are four birds that will not fly, right? Rest of the birds all will fly. So what are the four birds? Ostrich, emu, then kiwi, penguin, right? So these are the birds that will not fly, right? So now let's see the next one. So next one we are going to discuss about beaks. Alagu they will say in Tamil, right? So they use the birds use the beak to drink water and to eat and to fight with the other birds. So we can see here the birds are using the beak to fight, and also the bird using the beak to drink water, right? And some birds, most of the birds, they swallow the food, I mean they eat the fruits and nuts and worms using the beak. So you can see a bird here which eats the fruit with the help of the beak, right? Yes. So now let's see, we can see different type of birds have different type of beak. So we cannot say all the birds will have the same type of beak, right? So some birds have different beaks. So now let's see what are the birds that they have different type of beaks. So some birds they have very short, hard and strong beak. So if you see parrot, sparrow, pigeon and peacock. So you can see the beak here. So it is very strong, right? So this is the beak. So this is the peacock beak. This is the pigeon beak and this is the sparrow beak. So sparrow, pigeon and peacock, they have very short and hard and strong beak. Why? Because the peacock, pigeon, sparrow, they eat the nuts, seeds. They break the seeds, they eat the nuts, right? So the beaks will be very strong and hard and short. And also you can see peacock, they eat the worms also, puru, right? So they eat the worms also. So they have very strong, hard and short beak. Now let's see some other birds. So you can see here vulture, eagle and hawk. So these are the birds that they have very sharp and hooked beak. So they have very strong, sharp and hooked beak. Hooked beak means pokki mari, right? So now let's see. So they have a very strong and hooked beak like this. கொஞ்சம் வளைஞ்ச மாதிரி கொக்கி மாதிரி இருக்கு இல்லையா? So see, so they have a very strong, sharp and hooked beak. So why? Because these birds, they eat the flesh of the other animals. So you can see a eagle or vulture or a kite or a hawk, what they do, they eat the rats or they eat the small animals, right, flesh of the animals. So to tear the flesh, they have the beak which is very sharp like a hook. So to tear the flesh, they have a very sharp and hooked beak. So what are the birds? Eagle, vulture and hawk. So they have sharp, strong and hooked beak. Now let's see the other one. So you can see hummingbird and sunbird. This hummingbird and sunbird, they have long and pointed beak. Why? Because to take the nectar from the flowers, to take the honey from the flowers, so they have a very long and pointed beak. So you can see the hummingbird, right? So it has a very pointed and a long beak. So the beak will be not be very short, it will be very long. So like a long needle, right? So what are the birds? Hummingbird, Humming, hummingbird. And then this name of the bird is sunbird, Sunbird. So sunbird and hummingbird, they have a very long and pointed beak, right? Now let's see the next one. So if you take duck and swan, annam, okay, vaathu, so they have broad and flat beak. Why they have a broad and flat beak? Because to eat the fishes, right, from the water. So birds like swan and duck, swan, duck, goose, okay. So they have a very strong and broad and flat beak, right? So they have a very, you can see the beak, right? So it is very broad and flat, chappaya, okay. So some birds, they have a different type of beak. So if you take parrot, Parrot. So parrot, it has a short, strong and curved beak. So you can see the beak here. So here you can see the beak. So now let's see about parrot. So parrot has very short and curved beak. So if you see the beak of the parrot, it is short and it also have a curved beak. Why it has a curved beak? To eat, crack the nuts, to crack the seeds. So it has a short and curved beak, right? So parrot is also a bird which has a short and curved beak. And then this name of the bird is hoopie, Hoopoe. So hoopie also have a long, slender and pointed beak. So you can see the beak of the hoopie, it is very long, slender and it also has a pointed beak. Why? Because to eat the nuts, to eat the worms inside the wood. இந்த மரத்துக்கு உள்ள வந்து செல்கள் and then சில பூச்சிகள், சில புழுகள் எல்லாம் இருக்கும் இல்லையா? So அந்த மரத்துக்குள்ள இருந்ததுன்னா they cannot take it, right? So that is why they have a very long beak to take the worms, to take the insects from the wood, from the tree, right? And the next one is woodpecker. So woodpecker have a strong, pointed and chisel like beak. So they have chisel means uli, ஆணின்னு சொல்வாங்க இல்லையா? So அந்த மாதிரியான very strong, pointed and chisel like beak woodpeckers have. So now let's write. So woodpeckers have Woodpecker. So woodpeckers have long, pointed and chisel like beak. This beak will be like a chisel. ஆணி இருக்கு இல்லையா, ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும். why it is very strong, pointed and chisel? ஏன் அந்த மாதிரி chisel மாதிரி இருக்குன்னா, because they make the burrow in the wood. அந்த மரத்தோட கிளையில என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, they உடைச்சு they make a nest, அது கூடு கட்டுவாங்க, சரியா? so that is why they have a chisel like beak. Right? Okay dear children, so with this part is over. So in this part you have learned that birds have one beak, they have two eyes, 2 feet, they have wings and their body is covered with feathers, right? And they have one tail. So that is what today you have learned, and in this session you learnt about the beak also. So different type of birds have different type of beak, right? So birds like sparrow, pigeon, peacock, they have short, hard and strong beak, right? And then some birds like vulture, eagle and hawk, they have strong and they have a pointed and they have a hooked beak, kokki mari, right? And then some birds like duck and swan or goose, so they have a flat and broad beak. And birds like sunbird and hummingbird, they have a long and pointed beak. Parrot has a short and curved beak, right? Hoopie have a long, slender and pointed beak, and woodpecker, they have a long, pointed and chisel like beak, right? So this is what about beak in today's class you have learned, right? So with this class is over. Hope I'll meet you with the next part about the remaining topics of the birds. Thank you children.